Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys are doing well. It's been a long time since I've made a video. It's been almost 2 months, but I just didn't want to force any content in the off season. Yes, Jalen Brunson was named a captain. I did make that a community tab. I thought that was very important, but I just didn't want to force any videos out there. Cameron Payne was obviously a signing of the New York Knicks. I did not touch base on that, so I'm going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to talk about the overall rotation of the New York Knicks, specifically the bench, but obviously we acquired Mikal Bridges, another Villanova player. Mikal Bridges has been a successful NBA player, maneuvering some draft picks away to the Brooklyn Nets, moving away a Bogdanovic, who I actually thought was very solid for the New York Knicks. Of course, he had some struggles in the regular season, but he stepped up his game like a veteran does when it comes playoff time, his ability to relocate and space the floor, and that's definitely what Bogdanovic did, so I wish him the best of luck. I touched base on that. Obviously, Isaiah Hartenstein went on to leave to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Cameron Payne, and we got Keita Bates-Diop, who I didn't really like much when he was with Minnesota. Wasn't a big fan of him, honestly, when he was with the Brooklyn Nets, but he's a New York Knicks, so I wish him the best of luck, obviously, in the Knicks uniform, but I personally don't think he's really good enough, respectfully, to get rotational minutes, but I do understand he brings some athleticism, brings some length and size, and some people definitely want that coming off the bench. And Jericho Sims, some people have some questions about him. Can he be our backup center, standing at 6'10"? But we did re-sign Precious Achiuwa, so Precious Achiuwa, I do think is going to be that backup center if we don't run small ball when it comes to the starting lineup. And Tom Thibodeau does like more of that traditional center of like a Mitchell Robinson shot blocker with some height and some length, not having some tweener at the center position, especially when healthy. So I'm not expecting Randall to start at the center position like maybe some Knicks fans will expect, but I just think that's more of Tibbs' philosophy to have Mitchell Robinson starting, more of a traditional center in the starting lineup. So I'm going to be talking about the rotation, but obviously Mikal Bridges is going to be an exciting season, and I feel like this is one of the most anticipated Knicks seasons like in history, because you have Jalen Brunson. We all knew Jalen Brunson was a good player, but people were always like expecting like, how is he going to be in this big time role consistently? We saw him have big time games with the Mavs. We saw a consistent role with them, but he's in an even bigger role with the New York Knicks, and he proved that he could play at a superstar level, and then he was a superstar literally 2 seasons in a row with the New York Knicks, showing the consistency in the regular season and elevating his game in the playoffs, taking charges, his footwork, his up and unders, the hesitations in his game, scoring from all 3 levels. He's an elite shot maker, upping his points from 24 points per game to 28 points per game, and still being consistent and still being extremely efficient from the field, showing his overall leadership, taking less money. Congratulations to him for being named a captain. You know, OG Anunoby, obviously we went on to re-sign him. The length, the athleticism, the versatility on defense, guys that could play without the ball in the starting lineup, I'm definitely a big fan of. I just think it really fits today's NBA, but literally the reason why I'm saying also it's such an anticipated season is like 2020, like it was the first time making the playoffs in like 8 years. That was a big time deal, because before that we didn't make the playoffs since 2013 when we won 54 games. Tyson Chandler, Kenyon Morin, Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, we had Pablo on that roster, Jason Kidd, who's like a freaking coach now, like it's crazy. Like before 2020, that was the last time we made the playoffs. We had that off year in 2021, the experiment with Kemba, but then we bring in Brunson, finally get a solidified point guard. We make it to the playoffs, and I'm like, okay. And then we make it to the playoffs again, and it's like we make it to the second round 2 years in a row, but then we upgrade the roster with the Mikal Bridges. Some people have concerns at the center position, but now we're finally starting to string together consistent winning, and we won 50 games for the first time since 2013 when we won 54 games, and we lost, ironically, to the Pacers in the second round of the playoffs with that Roy Hibbert block shot on Carmelo Anthony, which definitely swung some momentum on the road. So there definitely is high-level expectations. For me, it's like Eastern Conference and above, like Eastern Conference Finals and above right now for the New York Knicks. That should be every Knicks fan's expectations. I have high expectations for this New York Knicks team, because you take a look at it right now, you have Jalen Brunson, who's just solidified himself as one of the best guards in the game. He's definitely a top 3 guard in my opinion, no doubt about it. I'm not even being unbiased. Dude averaged 6.7 assists per game. He averaged 28 points per game. He upped like everything in his category, like rebounds, assists, scoring the basketball. Like he took more threes, more volume of threes to really help out our offense even more, even though he's like one of the most important parts of our offense, or the most important part of the offense. You know, him getting to the free throw line, I believe even at a higher clip, you know, him knocking down his free throws. We already know what Jalen Brunson's about. Like, that's a tough ass motherfucker. He's so mentally tough. But when you acquire a Mikal Bridges through a trade, it helps your depth. You had Josh Hart, who played very well in the playoffs, who was starting for you in the playoffs, moved to the bench. Dante DiVincenzo, who's averaging 17 points per game in the playoffs, even though we got blown out in that elimination game, still put up 38 points. He moves to the bench, one of the most elite three-point shooters in the game. We know what Hart does, pushing the pace after getting a rebound, offensive rebounds, spot up, hitting threes at times. He's kind of inconsistent when it comes to that. He was very good in the Philly series, a little up and down the Pacers series, but you still see the aggression. But you see him work downhill, him moving without the basketball, him being strong-bodied, going body to body, playing defense. And Dante DiVincenzo is a very physically tough basketball player as well. Underrated athleticism, both stand at 6'4", but I believe they even play higher than that or taller than that because they just play with so much heart and play with so much tenacity that you just gotta respect about their game. So that definitely helps out depth. You lose Hartenstein, but Mitchell Robinson's still a good shot blocker, but health is the big thing with him. And is he going to be entering the regular season healthy and conditioned? Hopefully we're not seeing him breathe really hard, because I feel like at the beginning of the season he's definitely not as well conditioned, but we know he's a beast on the offensive glass. He has the ability to defend the perimeter, good athlete. He's not the athlete he was at the beginning of his career because he's gained some weight, but I feel like that's helped him in some departments. Obviously the Cleveland series in 2020 was a really big deal. He's solid screen setter, not an amazing screen setter, but when healthy, he can do, but it definitely comes down to his health. I'm expecting him, it's kind of just a thing that you expect him to play 60 games and you just hope he's healthy playoff time. You really do. The ankle injuries are scary, but I'm expecting Mitchell Robinson to start at the center position. I'm not expecting small ball lineup, but now you have Mikal Bridges, who I really liked coming out of Villanova. I wanted this guy coming out of Villanova. I was a defender. Everyone was saying he's older, doesn't have a high upside. I don't care if you play 4 years of college basketball or play 3 years of college basketball. There's always area to get better when it comes to shot creation, basketball IQ, relocating, knowing where to be out there on the floor. Just having great chemistry with your teammates, being a leader, just communicating, being more of a vocal leader. And I feel like he's really improved at that. But Jay Wright's a great coach and he got a lot out of him. But he was great in the Suns days. He got to show more of his game in the Brooklyn Nets days. Last year, you could say he wasn't as good as the year before when they acquired him via the Kevin Durant deal. He was just in a role that's not really his role. He's not a number one option. He's not a number one scoring option, but he did show that he can create off the dribble, get to that mid-range, which could be lethal. But he could play off the ball. He could be catch and shoot. He could utilize that athleticism, move without the basketball. He has a long wingspan. He could jump the passing lanes. He's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. He's a very smart basketball player that could score from all three levels and get others involved, so he could play within the flow of the offense. You have OG Anunoby, who he can create a little and get to that mid-range. Is he known as a creator? No, but if you need him to go to that mid-range and spot up or get to that mid-range from the elbow and knock down, he can do that. He's a great cutter. We know he's one of the best athletes in the game. We know he's top 5 defender in the game. As an on-ball defender, dude is elite. Another guy with a very, very long wingspan, very strong, shuts off guys with his body, a very efficient three-point shooter. You have 3 efficient three-point shooters. My voice squeaking, that sounded weird. Jalen Brunson, who could knock down the three at an efficient clip. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. You know about these guys, but you have unselfish players that are just pure winners and they want to win. They don't really care about their stats. That's what I really respect about these guys. But OG Anunoby obviously got a big-time contract by the New York Knicks, and it comes down to his health. I'm kind of expecting him just to play 50 to 60 games in the regular season and hope we're just in good seating when it comes playoff time, and then he's healthy playoff time. That's the big thing. We'll see how his minutes are managed this season by Tom Thibodeau. You have Julius Randle that you just see everywhere. Oh, this dude's rumored to be traded. But I think there's always these rumors we're not trading him, but everyone's trying to throw him into trade packages. But I think this is the best assembled team around Julius Randle, that you have consistent shooters around him. You have guys that OG, he could spot up, but he could also create. He's very unselfish, doesn't try to do too much. Mikal Bridges, Brunson, who's a freaking superstar. Randle, he was playing awesome basketball before he got hurt, and I believe he really would have been more successful in the playoffs than years before because of his style of play. He wasn't settling as much outside on the perimeter. He was attacking downhill. He was pinching and kicking better, getting into the teeth of the defense, kicking outside the perimeter. He's always been a good rebounder, but I feel like he brought more tenacity, brought more aggression when taking it to the basket, and just made quicker, rapid decisions. Because one of the biggest things that was a nitpick with me, or a big deal, was him spinning into double teams or him not passing out of double teams quick enough. And I felt he really brought that to the table. And when he plays inside out, he's a way better basketball player. And Randall's still very important. He's a big, strong, physical body. And him being an extra scorer to take the pressure off of Brunson. You having extra scorers, and you have guys that can score within the flow of the offense, it's less fatigue, it's less on Brunson's plate. So at the end of games, down the stretch, the team isn't going to be as tired if you play less ISO ball. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'm expecting less ISO ball Julius Randle because he's going to be like, damn, I have Brunson, Mikal, OG. Like, those are all very good scorers of the basketball. OG, maybe not very good. He is good. Mikal, obviously different role, but they're all capable of scoring the basketball. And you have Mitchell Robinson, who's a beast on the offensive glass. Health, obviously a big thing. Blocking shots. How is his mental going to be out there on the floor IQ-wise? And I feel like he's really developed, though, like staying out of foul trouble since the beginning of his career, Mitchell Robinson. But it's going to come down to his conditioning. It really is. His free throws, I don't know if that's ever going to get better. I'm really going to be honest. He always says he's working on his hook shot, his post game, but we've never really seen that. But I think Mitch is still really a force in the inside to be reckoned with when it comes to being a lob threat and getting those offensive boards and blocking shots. But to me, the bench is so fascinating because, DiVincenzo, Hart, they're a lock there. Again, like, DiVincenzo averaged 17 points per game in the playoffs. Hart in that Philly series averaged like 17 points per game, was shooting it lights out from three, over 40% from three. He elevated his game because in the regular season, he was struggling shooting the basketball, his offensive game in general. But then playoff time, like, some of the best players elevate their game when it comes to the playoffs. So Precious Achiuwa, I'm expecting him to be our backup center. I just don't think Tibbs believes in Sims, not because he doesn't have the physical tools, but like his awareness, and I feel like he doesn't have that dog in him. Like, you need that confidence, you need that aggression. And like Sims, I used to think like he was more aggressive, but I feel like even though he just doesn't look confident, like he used to just play with more aggression, but I don't really get that vibe from him as much. I feel like you need that dog mentality. That's why I really thought we re-signed Precious Achiuwa, because they were like, we need someone. Like, even though Achiuwa is 6'8" and not a 7-footer, he plays with tenacity, he plays strong, he sets good screens. Sometimes his feel for the game isn't the best, but he could defend the perimeter very well. He's a good athlete. He could roll to the basket. You could find him in the dunker spot for easy opportunities. He could run the floor. For sure, we'll see if he developed a mid-range game this offseason or he shoots more threes. And just sometimes drop coverage, he really struggled in that Pacers series, no doubt about it. But I really believe he brings that dog to the table and he's a solid screen setter. But you have DiVincenzo, who's someone that's a great cutter, someone that can knock down the three ball. Like, we know about DiVincenzo's game. This dude's a dog. Josh Hart's a freaking dog. But it's like, what are you going to do at the guard position? I'm expecting McBride to get minutes off the bench. Some people are saying, like, because we got Cameron Payne and Kolek, McBride's out of the picture. I don't believe that one bit. I really don't believe that one bit. McBride, do I think he's our natural facilitator in the second unit? No. But I think he's going to continue to be a very good catch-and-shoot guy because his confidence is going to stay up. Last year was the most consistent minutes he got in his career, coming out of West Virginia, always been a dog, chip on his shoulder, second round prospect, shot the three ball very well, played excellent in that Philly series on the defense side of the basketball, knocking down the three ball, taking it to the rack. You saw his game develop a little bit when it came to shot creation. The Pacer series, off the bench, he didn't play well, but when he had those couple starts and that one star like at the Garden, like, dude played well as a starter, but for some reason off the bench, he really, really struggled with his shot. But he's a mentally tough basketball player that I just do not give up on, and I feel like when you get consistent minutes and more reps, your confidence is going to go up more and more. And I think he's just going to be even better on the defense side of the basketball, especially from a mentality standpoint. And he's already a very good on-ball defender that hounds you. But you have guys you have Precious Achiuwa at your center. You have Josh Hart. The reason, again, I'm not a big fan of Keita Bates-Diop, so I would run some small ball. I actually wouldn't mind that because these guys are dogs, and not like Josh Hart can't grab rebounds and not like Precious Achiuwa can't grab rebounds. But I understand there's going to be some mismatch problems, like guys maybe shooting over some people have a Josh Hart and a Precious Achiuwa. But again, this is the second unit. Like, I feel like we have one of the most underrated second units in the league, and Donte DiVincenzo could score against starters. He's going to be able to score against backups. But what do you do at that point guard position? So I talked about how we're going to have McBride off the ball at the 2, even though you have McBride that isn't the tallest in the world. He's not the tallest, I'll be completely honest. He stands at 6'1". You have Josh Hart, that's a 6'4" guy. You have Donte DiVincenzo, that's 6'4". You have Precious Achiuwa, that's 6'8". Do you put Kolek or Cameron Payne? And I feel like Cameron Payne underrated signing. I'll be real. I know a lot of Knicks fans are going to shit on it because he faked his name as Terry Johnson, got in trouble off the court. I'm not a big fan of players that get in trouble off the court. You need to have a level of discipline. But I do love his story, and I feel like in that Philly series, when there was games that looked like we're going to pull ahead, this dude would come in the game with that funky ass shot, come in, catch and shoot three ball, get to a floater, facilitate very well for a couple plays, and then gave the Sixers a spark. He could really be a spark plug, and he has a chip on his shoulder again. Top 15 draft pick. Coming out of Murray State. John Morant was also a Murray State player, for some knowledge there. And he was selected by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Didn't really work out with the Chicago Bulls. Was kind of moving around the NBA, just not looking for a role. Went overseas, but then the Suns picked him up one offseason, and he thrived with the Suns. He was very good in the playoffs. He found his role. Then the Bucks signed him one offseason. They didn't really like him, but then Philly got him, and I thought he played very well in the playoffs. He's a mentally tough player. Talked some shit about the Knicks as well. I remember, like, before the series began. But Cameron Payne can be that heat check type of player. He's someone that gets the floater, utilizes screens, probes around to get to the floater, more probes to get to a shot, but he does a really good job making these cross-court passes or these skip passes, making the extra pass, plays within the flow of the game, which I really like. Finishing, sometimes he can get stuffed at the rim. He's not a very good athlete. But the reason why I only have Cameron Payne in these situations that we're looking for some offense off the bench, and I don't think we're going to be desperate looking for some offense because we have solid offensive players coming off the bench. McBride's a good shooter. I feel like he's getting better as a finisher. Josh Hart could finish with physicality, move without the basketball. Dante's a great cutter. He's one of the best three-point shooters in the game. Averaged 15 points per game this past season. Imagine how he's going to do off the bench. He could be a six-man of the year candidate, no doubt about it, depending on who comes off the bench first, Josh Hart or him. But McBride could shoot. But Tyler Kolek, I'd roll with him. I'm not sure if he's going to get minutes right away, but I wouldn't be surprised if halfway through the season, Thibodeau's like, I'm giving this guy a chance. And I know a lot of people say he's not big into playing rookies, but Quickly was the 25th overall pick he played. I'm not saying he's as good as Quickly, but Kolek's perfect because I don't think we have that perfect facilitator. No one's a perfect facilitator, but I don't think we have that natural facilitator in the second unit to set guys up. Pressure Jewel, he likes to cut, get into that dunker spot. He's not someone that really space of the floor. So you want to get someone involved as much as possible. How many times are you just like, how many lobs did we have this game? We don't really have a lot of lobs throughout the game. We need to get easier buckets. Tyler Kolek does a really good job reading the baseline, throwing up alley-oops. He does a really good job probing around, facilitating, throwing up oops, or finding someone for a floater in the middle. You know, finding someone flashing in the middle. He does a really good job pinching and kicking, getting the defense to collapse, kicking it outside of the perimeter, making the extra pass, manipulating defenses with his eyes, looking off the center, throwing it to throwing it into the corner for a three ball. Josh Hart likes to move without the ball. Dante likes to move without the ball. Kolek's only going to give you the ball in the right spot. He knows how to push the pace, and I love that. That second unit's going to run if Kolek plays. Is he going to be able to blow by guys right away? Probably not, but he has some solid hesitations. He's not a fantastic athlete, but he has some solid strength. He does stand at 6'1". He's going to be a good spot up three-point shooter. He may not look for his offense like crazy scoring the ball, but he did get better every year when he played at Marquette. He was a 16-7 guy. You know, he plays with so much confidence. I feel like you really need that. Cameron Payne, solid passer, but I wouldn't say he's a better facilitator than Kolek. Yes, the game's quicker than the college level, but I really believe in Kolek's IQ. I really believe in it. He's not a crazy off the dribble jump shot guy right now. Floater needs to be refined, but you're not going to need him to score the basketball a lot when you have Hart that can cut. You could spot up and hit a three sometimes. You know, Hart knocks down the shots with the shot clock winding down. You know, sometimes he'll get to the free throw line when he continues to use that physicality and get to the rim. Dante, you know, he got a little better. Like when it came to creating, like we saw some step backs from Dante. You know, he could throw it down off of cuts. He could spot up and hit threes, of course. Like Dante could score the basketball. You know, so McBride obviously is a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter. So you're not going to need Kolek to score like crazy. Like him facilitating guys, that makes the team better. Times he's going to get abused defensively. He's good with his hands defensively, just like Cam Payne, but due to their size, they're going to get exposed a little bit. He's 6'1", but I think we're in a good position with the backup bench. I'm very interested to see what's going to go and happen. Let me know if you're a believer in Sims. Thank you guys so much for the great amount of support. Peace out, guys.